History often tells us there's only room for one woman at the top. Any new arrival is seen as a rival. Was that true for Impressionist icons Berthe Morisot and Mary Cassatt? Did they see each other as competitors or something more? Think Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, or Serena Williams and the latest contender trying to unseat this champion. From actresses and painters to athletes, society has often positioned women as rivals, creating a myth of competition. Let's explore how this myth affected two trailblazers of the Impressionist era. Was their relationship defined by rivalry, or did they share a deeper bond? Berthe Morisot was not just any artist. She was a founding member of the Impressionist movement, standing alone as the group's only female presence for its first 3 exhibitions. This distinction gave her influence, but also set her apart, isolating her in a male-dominated space. Unlike her male counterparts, Morisot couldn't join the cafes where the Impressionists exchanged ideas freely. As the group's only woman impressionist, she was celebrated, but also constrained by expectations and the boundaries of her gender. So when American artist Mary Cassatt joined the movement, it may have felt like a challenge to Morisot's hard-won position. In 1884, Degas invited Mary Cassatt to join the Impressionists for their new exhibition. As an American, Cassatt was seen as somewhat of an outsider, and her entry was met with mixed feelings. Morisot was less than thrilled. To Morisot, Cassatt's arrival wasn't just about a new artist joining the movement. It was about another woman stepping into her space, a space she had to fight to occupy. It's easy to see why some might interpret this as rivalry. From the book La Luministe, Degas, who was always including outsiders in our exhibitions, had invited an American woman to join our uniquely French movement and to take part in the next Impressionist show in April. I had painted only fanciful fans during my confinement, and while Degas planned to dedicate a whole room to the decorated fans in vogue at the time, including his own and Pissarro's, I did not want those to be my sole contribution when the critics were sure to compare me to this American, Mary Cassatt. Degas presumed that I would participate in the upcoming Impressionist exhibition, but I had already decided that I would not. All would think that I had missed the exhibition in order to care for my infant, and I would let them believe that was my sole reason. One might assume that Morisot would welcome another woman in the group, someone she could discuss art with, especially since she couldn't join her male colleagues in the cafes. Both Morisot and Cassatt share a similar story. Both women came from well-off families. Both women were not permitted to attend l'École des Beaux-Arts, a prestigious school of fine art in France that only opened its doors to women in 1897. And Morisot and Cassatt went to the trouble of finding and studying under private tutors instead. Berthe Morisot studied under the private tutelage of Camille Corot, a respected landscape painter, and Mary Cassatt studied under Jean-Louis Gérôme, forging her own path. Also, both women were given a hand by a fellow male impressionist who believed in their work. Morisot's artistic style evolved aesthetically when she met the artist Edward Manet, and Edgar Degas extended a life-changing invitation to Cassatt to join the group of independent artists known as the Impressionists. However, Cassatt's French, spoke with a strong American accent, struck Morisot as coarse, making her seem unrefined. Meanwhile, Morisot's limited English made her seem distant and reserved to Cassatt. Yet as Cassatt's French improved, so did their relationship. Even though Morisot's English skills, it should be noted, remained unchanged. I noticed that Mary Cassatt had succeeded in engaging my husband in a tête-à-tête. Her conversation skill, which I could appreciate now that she had become more confident speaking French, and her perfect posture, evinced her good breeding. Over time, their initial differences began to fade, and shared artistic interests brought them together. At the 1889 Universal Exposition, Japanese prints caught both artists' attention. Cassatt, fascinated by Japanese styles, even encouraged Morisot to explore these prints herself. Cassatt wrote to Morisot with excitement, "You must see the Japanese. Come as soon as you can." Cassatt's passion for Japanese techniques inspired her to work in dry point and aquatint, and she shared her approach with Morisot. This mutual inspiration transformed their dynamic from competition to collaboration. Berthe Morisot was influenced by Japanese woodblock prints, which she found to be exotic and full of new alternatives to her own traditions. Morisot's paintings that shows a Japanese influence are most notably Julie Manet with Greyhound and Two Girls. In Julie Manet with Greyhound, you can see the diagonal line of the dog and the placement of the main subjects to the side of the painting. Also, Morisot uses black, a color normally avoided by Impressionists. Two Girls shows expressive lines, an asymmetric composition, and also black is used again to outline the feet of the girl in the foreground. Mary Cassatt embraced Japanese woodblock prints and exhibited the resulting series of 10 at the Durand-Ruel Gallery in Paris the next year, including The Letter and Woman Bathing. Later in their lives, Cassatt and Morisot confronted another shared barrier. As women, they'd never been allowed in life drawing classes, leaving them without training in anatomy. In middle age, the two women shared a model to try painting a nude for the first time. Their sketches reveal hesitancy, an understandable result for artists who had been denied access to such foundational experiences. Together, they worked to overcome the limits society had placed on them. Over time, Morisot and Cassatt's artistic styles developed in contrasting yet complementary directions. Morisot expressed herself through color, while Cassatt defined her work through detailed lines. Their differences in style allowed them to shine individually, rather than overshadowing one another. These distinct approaches underscored a truth that art critics have only recently come to appreciate. The Impressionist movement had room for both Cassatt and Morisot, whose unique visions expanded the group's boundaries. Berthe Morisot and Mary Cassatt weren't simply the woman Impressionists or rivals. They were pioneers who challenged limitations and created space for each other in a male-dominated art world. Their stories challenge the idea that there can be room for only one woman at the top. Together, they forged a path that has inspired generations of women artists. Today, their legacy isn't about rivalry, it's about resilience, creativity, and friendship. Thank you for watching Art Vault. Please remember to like and subscribe.